much deeper story, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And to really get into that story, we've been working through this document, Discovering Uttar Pradesh, the Heart of India.
Right.
So think of this chat as us sort of pulling out the key insights, the really compelling bits for you.
Yeah, our goal here is to, go beyond just the facts and figures. We want to try and uncover what really defines this region.
Like, what are the historical currents, the cultural vibes?
Exactly. And the challenges it's facing, and, well, ultimately, why it holds such a central place in India's whole story.
And what grabs you right away, I think, is this amazing contrast. You've got this incredibly ancient heritage rubbing shoulders with really rapid modern change.
It's quite the mix.
Yeah, a land where thousands of years of history meet today's world.
Okay, so let's dive into those deep roots then. The document really sets up Uttar Pradesh as a cradle of Indian civilization.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking ancient kingdoms like Kosala, Kashi, and Ayodhya, of course, revered as Lord Rama's birthplace.
Just saying those names, it evokes such a sense of deep time.
It really does.
And it goes way beyond just those kingdoms. You have the Mahajanapada era, then the huge Mauryan and Gupta empires. Yeah. Each one left its mark.
Right. Yeah.
And later, the Mughals, they significantly shaped things too. It's like peeling back layers,
Right.
Each layer a different powerful civilization.
And then you have cities that just feel ancient. Varanasi, described as one of the world's oldest living cities. Just think about that.
Continuous settlement for thousands of years. It's mind-boggling.
And Prayagraj, especially during the Kumbh Mela, it becomes this unbelievable meeting point, a spiritual, historical hub on a scale that's almost hard to imagine.
And what's really striking is how these places kept their importance through different eras. Varanasi, always a spiritual anchor. Prayagraj, at the meeting of sacred rivers, has been a cultural melting pot for centuries, drawing people together.
And Agra, you mentioned the Mughals. Agra was their capital for a time.
Yes.
And naturally, the Taj Mahal comes up. The document calls it a symbol of eternal love, a wonder of the world.
Or at least so.
But it's more than just beautiful, isn't it? It speaks to the sheer grandeur and artistry of the Mughal period there.
Definitely. The Mughal presence in Uttar Pradesh was huge. Not just architecture, but language, administration, even food, as we'll get to.
Right, okay. But Uttar Pradesh isn't just ancient history. It was also central to India's independence struggle.
Very true.
The 1857 result starting in Meerut is highlighted. Big moment. And the state produced major leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru, Atal Bihari Vajpayee.
Its contribution to modern India is, undeniable.
Which kind of raises a question, doesn't it? How does a place with such a massive history navigate, modern life?
Yeah, how does that past shape and maybe sometimes complicate its present?
Well, the document doesn't ignore the tough parts. It talks about fights and conflicts, a history marked by wars, revolts, political turmoil, Mughal-Maratha conflicts, British colonization. It wasn't always smooth sailing.
Not at all. And more recently, you have issues like communal tensions, caste dynamics, political rivalries. These have really shaped the modern landscape.
These are deep-rooted things, still influential today.
Yeah, definitely.
The source also mentions ongoing struggles, things like law and order, corruption, poverty. It aims for a balanced view, acknowledging these difficulties alongside the heritage.
Right.
But it also points to the people's resilience, the strength of their culture, despite the challenges.
And that resilience is key, I think. Despite everything, that strong cultural fabric gives people a sense of identity, of continuity. It helps them navigate these persistent issues.
So let's dig into that culture and traditions more. The document calls Uttar Pradesh a cultural mosaic, which feels right. It's the birthplace of Hinduism and Buddhism. That's huge. Sarnath, where Buddha gave his first sermon, it's right there.
It's amazing, isn't it? This convergence of major world religions and philosophies in one area. A real wellspring of spiritual thought for millennia.
Yeah. And then layered onto that, you have this deep Islamic cultural influence, especially in Lucknow, from the Mughal times. The whole idea of tehzeeb, that refined culture, the etiquette, Urdu poetry, the Nawabi legacy, it adds this really distinct, rich flavor.
Lucknow definitely has this elegance, a sophistication that comes straight from that history. It's a unique cultural spot within UP.
And the document points out how these traditions mix, like Raslila performances in Ayodhya happening alongside Muharram processions in Lucknow.
Exactly. It's not just separate cultures side by side. There's interaction, influence.
Mingling.
Yeah, you see examples of syncretism where different elements blend into unique local customs all over the state.
Okay, let's switch gears to something everyone loves. Food. The document calls UP's cuisine a feast for the senses. Sounds promising.
Oh, definitely.
It breaks it down by region. Let's start with a wadi food from Lucknow. We're talking fragrant biryanis, those famous melt-in-your-mouth galudi kebabs, rich kormas.
Sounds incredible. Awadi cooking is all about slow cooking those aromatic spices. It really was an art form in the royal kitchens there.
Then you've got Mughal cuisine from Agra. More familiar, perhaps. Butter chicken, Rogan Josh. Dishes known worldwide now.
Yeah, the Mughal influence brought that richer style, often using nuts, dried fruits, reflecting those Central Asian roots. Even stuffed parathas get a shout-out.
Right. And moving east, Eastern UP delights. Litti Chokha is called the soul food of Purvanchal. Sounds more rustic.
Yeah, litti chokha is more earthy, traditional, really connected to the agricultural side of Eastern UP. It shows the diversity within the state's food scene. Different regions, different tastes.
And we absolutely cannot forget the street food.
Oh, never.
Chaat from Varanasi and Lucknow, samosas, kachoris everywhere. And the sweets, jalebis and martus. It's a whole world of flavor on the streets.
Yeah, the street food scene is so vibrant. It really reflects what people eat day to day in different cities. It's essential, really.
The document sums it up nicely. The mix of flavors mirrors the mix of people. You can almost taste the history.
Food really is such a powerful cultural marker, isn't it? And in UP, it just perfectly illustrates that rich, complex heritage.
Okay, so if the food's lively, the festivals are apparently next level, celebrated with unmatched zeal, it says.
I believe it.
Think about Diwali in Ayodhya. Millions of lamps lighting up the city, setting world records, apparently.
Wow, that image.
Yeah.
Millions of lamps in Rama's birthplace?
Oh, so.
Now, that's powerful. It speaks volumes about Diwali's significance there.
And then Holi in Barsana and Mathura, Krishna's territory, described as just a riot of color and energy. Pure chaos, but joyful chaos.
Oh, yeah. The Holi celebrations in the Braj region are legendary. Unique traditions, so much energy. It really brings everyone together.
Even Eid in Lucknow gets mentioned. Festive feasts, elegant sherwanis.
Yeah.
It highlights that cultural mix again.
Absolutely. Seeing people from different backgrounds celebrating various festivals together really shows that inclusive cultural spirit in UP.
And of course, the Kumbh Mela in Prayagraj.
The big one.
The biggest religious gathering on earth every 12 years. It's more than a festival, it's a global event.
The scale is just almost impossible to grasp. The spiritual intensity. It shows the enduring power of faith, of pilgrimage.
So the document basically says there's a celebration almost every month. Life feels like one continuous festival.
It certainly paints a picture of a culture that loves its traditions and finds real joy in celebrating together all year round. Strong community vibes.
All right, let's shift to arts. Dance, music, and art. Uttar Pradesh is home to Kathak.
One of India's 8 classical dance forms.
With roots supposedly in Varanasi's temples, that's a major artistic contribution.
Kathak is beautiful. The footwork, the expressions, the storytelling, it's deeply tied to the region's religious and cultural history, a vital part of India's classical arts.
And then you have the folk dances, Raslila, Nautanki, Birha, each telling stories carrying traditions.
Yeah, these folk forms are often like living history books reflecting myths, social life. They've been crucial for community bonding and passing down values for generations.
And music. Huge contributions to Hindustani classical music. Legendary names like Tansen, Bismillah Khan, Birija Devi. What a lineup.
Uttar Pradesh has been a major hub for Hindustani classical music, nurturing some of its absolute giants.
And the crafts, we can't forget those. Delicate chikankari embroidery from Lucknow.
Beautiful stuff.
Intricate Zardozi work, that unique terracotta art from Gorakhpur. Skills passed down forever.
These crafts are such a rich part of the heritage. They show the unique skills, the aesthetics of the region's artisans, big part of the cultural identity.
Okay, let's turn to modern Uttar Pradesh progress and problems. The document calls UP a political powerhouse in India.
Which makes sense given the huge population. It really influences national politics.
Yeah, demographic weight is key. And it highlights progress in infrastructure, new expressways, airports, smart city projects. And the Noida Greater Noida area is mentioned as this booming tech and business zone. So there's definitely a push towards modernization.
And the infrastructure development is vital, right? For the economy, attracting investment, creating jobs for that massive population.
But the document is clear about the ongoing challenges too. Things like overpopulation, unemployment, women's safety, gaps in education. These are still big concerns.
Yeah, these are complex, tangled issues. They need serious long-term efforts from multiple angles to really make a difference.
It also mentions criticisms about communal politics, caste discrimination, crime rates. Important to see the full picture, the good and the bad.
Addressing those deep social and political challenges is crucial for, more equitable growth in the state.
It is good, though, that the document notes active efforts are happening. Reforms, activism, trying to tackle these issues.
Right, suggests it's not static. There's engagement from government, from civil society.
Yeah.
Which offers some hope for progress on these tough, long-standing problems.
Okay, finally, wrapping up with why Uttar Pradesh matters. The document puts it beautifully. It's more than just a state. It's like a reflection of India's soul.
That's a good way to put it.
It emphasizes the incredible minds that came from there. Saints, poets, emperors, freedom fighters, artists.
Uttar Pradesh has undeniably been central to shaping India's intellectual, spiritual, and cultural map throughout history, no question.
So the conclusion is, it's a land of stories, struggles, and splendor. Acknowledges the flaws, but highlights the rich culture, resilient people, depth spirituality. Reinforcing that heart of India idea.
Yeah.
Feels like we've barely scratched the surface, even after all this.
It really does. It's a state that truly captures the complexity and the vibrant spirit of India itself.
So just to recap our deep dive then, we've touched on UP's ancient roots, the conflicts, that incredibly rich culture scene in its food, festivals, arts. We've also looked at the modern side, the progress and the problems, trying to understand why it holds such a key position in India.
And thinking about all that mix of ancient tradition and modern transformation, what really stands out is the spirit of the people, perhaps.
Yeah.
So here's a thought maybe. How does getting a glimpse into a place with such a complex, layered history like Uttar Pradesh maybe change how you think about the bigger picture of India?
That's a great question. It definitely adds so much nuance, right? You realize a nation isn't just one thing. It's made up of these incredibly diverse, historically deep regions.
Exactly.
Each with its own story feeding into the larger narrative. It pushes you past generalizations, makes you appreciate the complexity within India.
Precisely. And maybe, just maybe, exploring UP like this sparks a curiosity to learn more about all the other regions that make India so, well, fascinatingly diverse.